It was about a month ago that the Riders were mired in their 2-month-long losing streak. Mm-hmm. And then we had reached out to Charleston Hughes and said, hey, do you want to come on the radio? And that day, Charleston was getting his hair done. We don't know if it was at a hair salon or a barber shop. We don't know how to record it. But ever since then, the Riders are 4-0, and they're unstoppable. So we need to bring them back to keep this juju going into the playoffs. Charleston Hughes, did you know from that day that you would have such an effect on Rider Nation just by making a little appearance on the SportsCage?
What can I say, man? I'm there at heart. I take full responsibility for that. Let Corey Mays know that too.
Oh, and the Plaza of Honor Committee. We'll pass that along. All right. So before we get into football, so I saw this on social media. You were inducted into the Northwood Athletics Hall of Fame. Can you explain Northwood, what that is to everybody, to Rider Nation and everybody listening? First of all, where that is and what that means to you, because that picture that they put up, I was like, who's that guy? He's just a young pup. I don't recognize that guy. Like that young guy looks fresh with no rings on that tree.
Yeah, that was young 24, 23-year-old Charleston. But yeah, man, Northwood is a Division II school in the heart of Michigan, Midland, Michigan. It's where I spent my years playing football from 2003 to 2006. But you know what? I enjoyed every minute being there. They finally inducted me into the Sports Hall of Fame, the Athletic Hall of Fame at Northwood University. It's something that I really, cherish, and I'm honored, and I feel amazing that they even remotely put me in something like that in such a short period of time. Yeah, man, it's an honor to be nominated like that.
If you're watching the stream, you can see, look at that. Look at that fresh face. And then we have you running with the football. Was that from a strip sack? Was that an interception? Did they have you playing receiver? Look at you. You look like you're running for the end zone there.
Oh, running for my life. No, right there, that was an interception, actually. I played like a middle, outside, strong safety type position back then, wearing number 96.
Wow. So obviously going into the Hall of Fame for the school, you're looked upon as a leader and a mentor. What would you tell the athletes that are kicking around there right now about your time there, and maybe even throw out a great recruiting pitch?
I would definitely tell them, it doesn't matter where you are and where you start your career at. The path to success is a ugly road, and it's not a pretty road. But the thing is, as long as you work hard and you devote yourself to something, a certain goal, and you strive for it, you can reach your dreams and reach all your goals imaginable.
Charleston Hughes is joining us on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline here on the all-new SportsCage. It's Maz, Dave Thomas. Now, did you say you were wearing number 96 and then you ended up being 39? So did the training staff hate you at Northwood and gave you 96, or did you pick that on your own? Because, hey, listen, athletes, it's important what number you wear. Because how did you settle on 39 when you were playing in the CFL?
I actually like being an oddball at a position like that. Like when I started in high school, started playing football in high school, I wore number 30. So I was like, okay, I like 30. And then once I got to college, they gave me number 96. And no, it was the only number that I thought was cool. I was like, all right, I can't get 30. Somebody took 30. Can't get a 30 number. Somebody took all the 30 numbers. So I said, forget it. If I want to stand out, I'm just going to get the most oddball number at linebacker I could find. And I was like, 96 got to be super oddball at linebackers, strong safety. So I said, forget it. I'll just take 96. And at Northwood, at Calgary, it was the same thing. When I got with the Calgary Stampeders, I was like a linebacker when I first got there. So 39 was a linebacker number at that time. Mm-hmm. When I switched to defensive line, like even my Grey Cup ring says linebacker still. But when I switched to defensive line when I was at Calgary, they asked me if I wanted to switch numbers, and I said, no, I might as well just stick with it. No, I'm always the oddball. I might as well keep it going.
All right. Well, it's funny. So you mentioned the Calgary Stampeders. You mentioned a Grey Cup ring. There's no chance of them winning a Grey Cup this year. They're not making the playoffs. a lot of people said, I thought, well, they've just had a bad year. A lot of people in and around the CFL in the know saying, well, this is actually almost 2 bad years they've had. You watch this game very intently. Where are you on the Stampeders? Is this just a one-season thing, or did you see this last year, the wheels starting to come off, and then it just has ended up where we're at right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's 2 bad years back to back, man, and it's unfortunate because I got friends over there who still play for that team. I got friends on the coaching staff over there, and when it's like that and you're going through, a rough patch or a rebuilding season, I guess you could say, it's tough, and you got to kind of weather the storm the best way you can. I think over the years, the talent level in Calgary has gone down. It's just an organization where they just got to get back to doing what they do best and find talented guys who play football and are just ballers on the field. I think they slightly got away from that culture and tried to bring in like a different type of culture of football players and football talent, and it didn't work out for them.
Charleston Hughes, I'm torn on how to ask this question.
Uh-oh.
As a professional athlete, right? How do you approach this last football game if you're the Calgary Stampeders, for example, right? Are you making business decisions and not putting your body on the line? Do you have something to prove by putting something out on tape? Or even go back to the Jerry Maguire scenario, right? Remember when Rod was playing out his contract and got hurt and everybody stopped to wait and see what was going to happen? How do you approach that as an athlete?
Well, it ain't. I know you're not playing for playoffs and you're not playing for a championship, but you still are playing to feed your family. That's the best way to put it, man. So you got to play for a contract. Some of those guys, this is their last year on the contract. Some of those guys, they're playing for a bigger contract. You're playing to make a team. You're playing to make another team. And you got to go out there and still perform. You got to still show some type of excitement for next year to show that we got some guys that can play and we're going to be ready to play for next year.
2 of the names that you would know because you spent a lot of time in and around the CFL and the Stamps that I think are key losses to the Stamps. Jameer Thurman, who's been gone a couple years because he played in Hamilton. He's now with the Riders. But I would say one of the biggest off-season signings that hurt the Stamps was Derek Wigan, a guy who you didn't notice until he's not there because that defense looks totally different without Derek Wigan doing what he did so quietly for so many years. And people will be like, oh, yeah, it just seemed to an unsung hero, but you take him out of the mix and that defense just hasn't looked right all year.
Yeah, I mean, I watched Wiggins grow from his rookie season all the way up until I thought he was going to retire as Stampeder. I actually didn't think he was ever going to leave there because of how much of a great guy he is on and off the field, how much of a leader he actually became to that team, which that was surprising to me because he's not a real outspoken guy. But to see him breaking down huddles and giving pregame speeches and rallying the troops up on that team and seeing, how much progress he's gained as a leader, it's surprising to see them let go of a player like that and then expect. I have no clue who the leader of that team is now at this point, especially on defense. Maybe Cameron Judge. But the thing is at this point, you got to find guys like that to lead your team and lead your team well, especially because he's been there to transcend through all the years of seeing great players come and go. So the thing is he's a big loss to that team and the community.
Charleston, you played on a number of great teams that down the stretch wouldn't have had a lot to play for as far as the standing goes in the regular season. But I don't know if you've ever or encountered a dynamic like what we're going to see at Mosaic Stadium where the fans can not only celebrate a home playoff game, but potentially finishing first in the West. Have you ever seen anything like that where the game can mean pride or it can mean first place?
Not really, man. I've played in a lot of football games, but the big ones are the ones where you really, really got to bring your A game and show up to play for the fans, for first place. There's so much at stake. I love games like that because everyone's nervous. Everyone's, timid about what's going to happen. And I would say cream rises to the top, and the best players are going to show what they got during that game.
Now, when we talked to you a month ago, when we were mired in the losing streak, you said they're doing all the right things. They're just not winning, but eventually that will change. So, and you were right. So what are some of the things you've seen over the past month out of the Saskatchewan Roughriders that you're like, all right, I like what I see, and it's translating into success? Like, what's the first thing that jumps out at you because you watch the game differently? You're not a fan. You played the game at the highest level.
I mean, at this point, I'm seeing unselfish football. You don't see a lot of players, bickering and arguing on the sideline. You can tell the guys have rallied together in support of players like Mulligan. And the thing is when you got a player like that on your team who's playing at such a high level at multiple positions, you elevate the team. You elevate the play of all the players around you. And I think that's what's happening right now is they've found their spark, and their spark has been him the whole entire time. And now everybody's rallying behind him and the rest of the defense and playing some football now.
You mentioned Rolan Milligan Jr.'s name, and obviously the season he's had is one for the ages. But obviously if you make it to the CFL, you're a great football player. What takes you from that great level to the elite level that Milligan Jr. has found himself in for most of the year?
I think I made fun of him online like a couple weeks ago when I saw that he made Defense Player of the Year, and I was like, he's going to win it hands down. But there was a game that I played with him on the field when he was still a kind of a young player. I think it was rookie season, really. And I was kind of phasing out of football at that time, and I got the chance to touch the field with him. And I remember we were playing in Winnipeg. We were driving down into the red zone, and I stopped the play, right before we were going into the red zone. They were coming in to score, and I went and rallied all the DBs up, and I said, Mulligan, in this zone, there's a corner route coming. And I told him, I said, watch the corner route. Just play the corner route. It's going to happen right now, this play. Line up, boom. The play comes. They run a corner route. He's all over the play. They broke it up. He comes back and was like, how'd you know that? And I'm like, man, I watch enough film, and I'll show you how to do it when we get off this game. They come right back the next play. I call out the very next play and tell them they ran a corner out on the next play. Watch corner post now. They ran the exact same play, and they scored a touchdown, but it kind of brought a sense of this guy knows what he was doing. And it brought some light to what football really is and what you can learn from watching film and dedicating yourself into the film room. And he saw firsthand what a veteran player kind of looks like. And he's told me that, that was inspiration for him, that if a defensive lineman can call out plays for a defensive back on how to cover a route, then he should be able to do that himself and take the, entitlement to actually go out and watch film and be able to see what I seen.
Okay, Charleston, guilty pleasure of mine. I love watching poker on TV. Don't ask me why, but I try to find guys' tells, and that's what I'm all about. So when you're watching film and able to point that out to Rolan Milligan Jr., what tells are you looking for?
You got to look at field position. You got to look at what hash mark you're on. You got to look at what player is in what position. I mean, you got to be smart enough to know that if I can't even remember the number 10 at Winnipeg. What's his name?
Dembski.
Nick Dembski?
Dembski, there you go. You got to know if Dembski is in the slot and he is running full speed at you, it is 100% probably going to be a corner route or some kind of a fade deep route, and you got to be ready for stuff like that. And those are the tells that you got to look for, man, is who's in what position, what yard line are you on the field, and pretty much you just play the odds from there. I'm a poker player too, and I play odds.
I'm not taking them on, though.
Yeah.
So let's just get this straight. So you've said twice you've called him Mulligan. We call him Rolan Milligan. Is that your nickname for him? Because if obviously you played together, so you know him a little differently. Are you just having some fun with him, calling him Mulligan instead of Milligan?
Yeah, man, that's Mulligan.
Okay. All right.
I've taken enough of those in my golf game. So, if you're a player in the Rough Rider dressing room right now, what are you doing to prepare yourself for this game? Which, again, you're going out there. Nobody wants to say it, but I'm going to say it right now. Nobody wants to see an injury in Game 18 of the regular season. I'm assuming you can't go out there playing not to get hurt because that's probably a scenario for disaster. How are you preparing yourself to play this game? Any differently than week 1 to week 18?
Well, I would say, differently from week 1 to week 18, but you got to take this last month and play consistent to this game. So how you've been playing for the last month is you got to take it into this game. Don't hold nothing back. Make sure you're 100% healthy. You're feeling strong, confident, good. Make sure you brush your teeth at night with some green toothpaste. I mean,
Nice.
go get your nails done, your feet done. Make sure your feet ready to run. Do whatever you got to do to make sure that you're ready for this game because it's going to be a big game. And like I said, big-time players make big-time plays in big games.
All right. So we're a week away. We're going to wrap on this. We're a week away from Halloween. Charleston Hughes, are you a Halloween guy? And if you are, what's the latest costume you dressed as?
Right now, I've been eyeing up that costume with the guy, the cowboy riding a dinosaur.
Nice. Oh, like the blow-up thing. Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
I don't know if you've seen social media, but we have it posted on the SportsCage Twitter account. There's a Zamboni driver that got arrested in Quebec because he was drunk driving the Zamboni dressed like a kangaroo. So he was in the Halloween spirit a little early. So
I like it.
That's an only in Canada situation. A drunk Zamboni driver got a DUI dressed as a kangaroo.
There's a lot of layers to that story.
And we have the video posted at SportsCage. Charleston Hughes, don't keep your phone handy. We got to check in as we get further into the playoffs because you're the good juju that broke the losing streak. And now we're 4-0 and looking for win number 5. It's on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline.